All right, I keep losing my thing here. I'd like to bring to order the October 10th meeting of the Tiverton Town Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joan?
Councilor Edwards?
Present.
Councilor Edwards?
Present.
Councilor deMedeiros?
Present.
Councilor Burke?
Present.
Councilor Milburn?
Present.
Councilor
Janik
Janik
is absent.
is absent. Approval of Town Council minutes, September 26th, regular meeting, September 26th, executive session. Acknowledge receipt of minutes from boards, commissions, and committees. Personnel Board 3, Zoning Board of Review 2, Economic Development Commission 1, Dog Park Advisory Committee 1, Litter Control Committee 1, Zoning Revision Committee 1, Historic Preservation Advisory Board 1. Acknowledge receipts of reports, Town Administrator Department monthly reports, September 20, 2023, and Town Administrator Police and Fire Department overtime reports, September 20, 2023. Would any of the council like to take anything from the consent agenda? Like to entertain a motion?
Madam President, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Public comments regarding a council agenda item or other town business? I have one. Joanna Ruda, Charter Section 202. There's the lady.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Joe.
Long time no see. I thought I'd be coming here next week for my reappointment to the Personnel Board, but there was something else that was burning. I just thought I'd come today to just talk to all of you. I don't plan to have any kind of debate or anything. It was just comments and things that I just felt that I just needed to, instead of calling each and every one of you to come here and tell you collectively.
We'd rather have you do it this way.
Perfect, that's the way we used to like to have it done too. So out and about in my life, in the town, outside of the town, at the market, the drugstore, however, people that have come up to me just to make comment to say that what they've seen or heard out and about with questions as it related to the Charter Section 202, and I guess what they had heard out there about how, with the sadness of course, losing our dear friend Joe Perry, how this vacancy was going to be filled. And many people were just concerned about the fact that, how do they do it? How does that work? So usually what I wouldn't do is get involved in posting something on social media, but I felt that I took that section of it and just put it out there in general, so that people could read it for themselves and then make those determinations, however. But it became more and more concerning with people because they felt that they had heard, whether through a newspaper article or calling other people, and you know how things spin out, that they felt that whoever had write-in votes, that their votes wouldn't count, because that's what they were told by one or another, however many. And then people just ask, it's like, well, have you ever had that, situation before? How was it handled, back in the day?
It's never happened.
And that's what I said. And it's an unprecedented situation. Thankfully, we've never had that kind of vacancy, or, of course, to a death or any vacancy, really. So it got me thinking anyway, and I came home, I read the charter, and I thought, well, maybe there's some changes to the charter that I wasn't privy to. So I read it and reread it and read it again. And I could see why some people were concerned and mostly troubled by the fact that if they only went into the voting booth and didn't vote for anybody who was pre-printed on the ballot and only did write-ins across the town's election, that their votes wouldn't count either way. for any kind of a vacancy going forward.
It's only pertinent to town council.
That's right. So anyway, I read it and reread it, and probably the section or the sentence, I would say, that hung most people up was that last sentence that goes on to read, to say, a
I'm
qualified
looking
candidate.
at it here, if
Oh,
you
good.
wonder what I'm
A
doing.
qualified candidate is used in this section is the person who declared for the vacant position, obtained the requisite signatures to appear on the ballot, and appeared on the ballot in the election. So, of course, the conversation back and forth was, well, but people who are write-ins don't necessarily maybe decide before the deadline as to when they should file or whatever, and people could go and ask for a write-in campaign, which is, I think, more difficult to do a write-in campaign than it is for having anybody endorse you or write or have your name printed on the ballot, because you're going to do a lot more legwork to get people to know and to vote for you, right?
So Joanne, let me explain to you, because I don't know if you went to many of the meetings of the last charter review.
No,
Okay, the last charter
but I
read.
did read their minutes.
The
And I
last-
did read where they
The
were.
last charter read
Yep.
that the town council would appoint for town council. It had nothing to do with who was the last or
Right.
whatever.
But the way the
people
char-
on the charter commission did not want the council to have that kind of power.
Right.
So what they said was qualified candidates and described it as such.
Right.
And that's how they changed it. They didn't want it to be write-ins, because this is a very, you were here, this is a very important job. People have to really want to do this job.
Right, and I can
that's
understand
that's
that.
what they
I can
decided.
understand that, but where people's feelings are disenfranchised about that is the fact that it's a vote, and it's an elector of the town that they wrote in and voted for, and a ballot provides for write-ins, whether it's for a president or for the town sergeant, okay, from that perspective.
But this was voted on by the people. This
So,
charter.
but when you go and read the charter that says that a qualified candidate for that position with the next highest number of votes from the last election shall be appointed by the town council to fill the unexpired term of the vacated position. If the said candidate declines the appointment to fill the vacancy, the appointment shall then be offered to the qualified candidate with the next highest votes, and so forth until a qualified candidate accepts the appointment,
That's
or
right.
until the list of qualified candidates are exhausted. So I went and looked, and I found on the Board of Canvass's website the list of those write-in votes, because they're not ballots, they're votes, of those electors that the people did vote for and did write in their names. Whether there's 1 or 10 or 20 or 30, I don't know. I didn't go through and do any analysis to this.
Well, that section you just read goes
But my
to
only
everyone
question-
else but town council.
But my only question, though, is the fact that it's a vote, and every vote has to count. And it's not just a vote of just what is the council, it's a vote along, it's with any and every election. It's just that the only two exceptions to the council is the treasurer and the clerk who appoints. But a council shouldn't appoint to themselves,
All right, thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
But
Yeah,
I would
and I just want to make it
suggest that, I know
clear.
you're going to talk about it tonight.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that we've got
Yep,
an
and the only thing
attorney-
that I would say is that, I thank you, and that you would be, consider the honor of the people who duly did vote for someone and did write their name in, and that their vote should count. That's it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Appointments and resignations, Newport, Bristol County Convention and Visitors Bureau per Rhode Island General Law 42-105 2V. 1 Tiverton representative, 3-year term, 1 vacancy, term ended 9/30/2026. Meredith Brower, 230 I can never say this one, Punkin Neck Road, request reappointment. Meredith, I know you're here.
Evening.
Hi.
So I had filled in for Christine Francis for the last 3 months.
Yeah,
and
about that.
Just requesting to be appointed for the next 3.
Have you enjoyed doing it?
Yeah. It's about a meeting a month. They don't meet for the summer. And then I report to the Economic Committee with Renee.
Any questions from the council? I'd like to entertain a motion.
Motion, we appoint Meredith Brower. Sorry, I had the other document up.
630 Neck Road.
Right here.
Got it. Of 930 Punktest Neck Road to fill the vacant position for Tiverton on the Newport and Bristol County Convention and Visitors Bureau for a term ending 9/30/2026.
Do I have a second?
Second. Discussion?
Yes.
On her application, it's 630 Neck Road versus 930.
630 Neck Road there,
I'm
It's
just,
6:30?
Correct, it's 6:30.
Okay.
typo.
just want to make sure we're appointing the right person.
So the Meredith Brower at 9:30 isn't appointed?
No.
It's 6:30, okay. So motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thanks, Meredith.
Thank you.
Planning Board, 9-member board, 3-year term, 2 vacancies, term ending 7/15/2024. That's 1 term, and the other term ending 7/15/2026. Christopher Schreiber. You can come sit over here, Chris, if you want. Welcome, and thank you for serving.
Yep.
Just tell us why you want to be back on the planning board.
So I joined the planning board about 1.5 years ago because I became a new resident of Tiverton. And I wanted to get to know more about the community and understand what was going on. And I'm a firm believer in you have no say unless you participate in the program. And I know the night of the interview, although it was a Zoom meeting, it wasn't the most collective and engaging, but there were some curiosities about the personnel on the board and how the board was running. But I can say that the board with its leadership is a lot better than what I thought I was going to experience. With the chair, Stu, and we have Todd as our counsel, and Ashley as our AO, and Nate as our engineer. They've been giving us a lot of good guidance to move forward so we can navigate through some of these dicey issues. And we'll continue to do that, and I look forward to participating moving forward.
Thanks. The planning board, I've often said, is one of the worst boards to be on.
Agreed.
Other than the town council. And the planning board has done a very good job, and with Sue's leadership has done very well. Does anyone have any questions for Chris?
So you're also down here later, Chris, for the Harbor Commission.
That is correct.
How have you found that relationship between the two boards in terms of?
You know, I think there's a role there that I should be more proactive in, and I needed to learn more about that, and I should probably look for more guidance on that so I could help interface the two. But I work a lot with that team there, and I work a lot with the planning board team, but I haven't really embraced it. Not that I didn't embrace it, what are my roles and duties to make them work better collectively, and who could I see about that? I'd be happy to make that happen.
Over there.
I know Chris and I have spent time together about the dinghy dock and things like that.
Yes.
We've worked on that collaboratively along with, from the DPW standpoint and what have you, and so, but
Yeah, I
need to
appreciate.
move forward on that
yeah.
a bunch more.
And I appreciate you taking on both those roles because they both have fairly
Nothing else to do.
fairly heavy lists.
Nothing else to do, really? Any other questions for Chris? Thank you, Chris.
All right.
All right, we're going to appoint in a few minutes. We just have one other interview to do.
Okay.
And it's, I think Adam, yeah, there's Adam. Hi, Adam. Just tell us why you want to be on the planning board again. How many years has it been?
probably 3 years.
At least,
3 years, I
right?
believe, yeah,
Yeah.
3.5 years. Before I get to that, I have some notes that I'd like to kind of put into my opening.
Sure.
Well, first, I'm glad to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the town of Tiverton on the planning board. But I'd like to take this opportunity to express my feelings about last year's reappointment interview. I'm a volunteer. I'm brand new to this seat. I spent the years before that particular reappointment interview learning about the process and how I can participate as a member of the board. During that interview, I felt that I was treated very poorly, in particular by Jay Edwards. I felt blindsided by what felt like a rude line, what felt like the questions were put in a really rude manner about my attendance and my contributions as a board member. Since this took place in front of the entire town, it did not feel respectful. I feel there were many other ways to be spoken to and questioned in order to ascertain what I can improve upon. That being said, I respect this process and look forward to continuing my service to the town of Tiverton as a planning board member.
So why do you want to be back on?
I do. I
After
like.
that.
I like the board. I like the board. I like. When I started on the board, I just wanted to be part of what I thought was a board in town that had a large impact on the future of the town. I still feel that way. It was a serious learning curve. I mean, even just talking in front of more than a few people is a huge, hurdle for me. So, I've gotten a little better at that. I don't have any excuse for my attendance as far as, during that time frame. I know it's gotten better. I've worked out what I was going through in that time period that affected my attendance. And I think my contributions have gotten better. I think I'm able to get my points across a little bit better. And yeah, really, and be a positive part of the board.
Any questions?
No. So Adam,
Jay.
I was harsh with you, I will admit that. But at the time, I will stand by what I said at that time. However, the past year, your attendance has improved dramatically, and I mean dramatically, and you are much more involved in the work of the board.
Thank you.
So
I've been trying.
I'll make that concession and
Appreciate it.
leave it at that.
Anyone else?
Madam President?
Yes.
Just, Adam, thank you. One question, and I haven't seen this in a while, so
Okay.
I think it's probably, may not be an issue, but, maybe 6 months to a year ago, when things were coming to the board, I would see posts from you on social media, taking a position on something
Yeah,
one way or the other,
actually-
one way or the other, and part of the role of the board is to be neutrally applying the laws and the ordinance, so if you could just speak to that.
Yeah, so I was pretty outspoken about some of the issues that the board was facing, and actually spoke with I think it was probably Susan at the time. I think she was still here. We discussed that, and I curbed that.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's 6 months at least
Yeah.
since I've seen that. Thank you.
And I'm not being harsh, but there was one time recently that you made a motion that went totally against what the town lawyers were advising. And the motion was appropriate, but the basis of your motion was not adequate enough to go into court with, and you were told that. And you said you didn't care, and you were still going to make the motion.
Well-
And, okay, and I know I can get passionate also, but I didn't understand that because although I agreed with what you were trying to do, I felt that the planning board members and the town council has to make sure when they make a decision, they can live with it in court and it be strong enough to at least potentially win. And you were told that it wasn't strong enough, and you very adamantly said you didn't care. And that was the only thing that's concerned me in the last couple of years.
Okay.
And I know you were passionate, but that concerned me.
All right, so I can speak to that. So don't recall adamantly saying that I don't care. I remember it kind of, the back and forth, I think it was probably between me and Todd.
Yes.
Yes, all right.
And I think another member of the planning board was probably interjecting, but
I don't know, not, we don't really get too involved with each other's motions too
Yeah.
much in that regard, but, you know, at Todd's, yeah, I don't think that's gonna hold up in court, I don't know if that's a good idea, Adam, and I, you know, so I almost, when I made the motion, I knew it wasn't gonna go anywhere, but I almost wanted everybody in the crowd to kind of know where the planning board stood, because I felt like if that motion,
oh, where you stood.
well, I felt like that motion, yeah, right, I felt like that motion, no matter how lame it was, at least the point came across that the planning board in the town had their back as far as, you know, that particular motion was concerned. The crematorium, I'm guessing it was the crematorium
Yeah.
motion, yeah, okay.
I don't want to get too much into it because we're still dealing with that.
Okay.
But I almost felt that you wanted the crowd to know how you felt. Because the
No,
other,
I mean, I had a pretty good sense on how the rest of the board felt, but, you know, there really was no motion that we could come up with at, you know, at that moment that was gonna hold up in court, and that was actually gonna get voted in favor for, so, yeah, I just kinda flew by the balls of my feet.
Madam President, I'll come to your defense. So, you know, looking from a resume perspective, one of the things that I think makes you a good fit for the board is the background in construction. A lot of times we wind up appointing people to some of these boards who don't have the requisite background to understand things like looking at a plan or how the building process works. And to me, I think having a general contractor on the board is of infinite value. And just to piggyback off of what Madam President just said, you know, no offense to the lawyer, you serve in an advisory capacity to the boards, and, you know, I don't think that it's the job of the planning board to have something hold up in court. I mean, ultimately, the next phase is the zoning board if they don't like what the planning board says. And quite frankly, we've had other members of this council stand up and say things which went against, you know, state law. So, and maybe not this board, maybe prior ones, but people say crazy things every once in a while, and they get heated in the moment. And so, you know, I think somebody who's engaged and has the requisite background to understand what he's looking at is a good fit for the board.
anyone else? Thanks, Adam.
You're welcome, guys. Thank you.
So, VA Lopes, we interviewed last time. Do we want to make a decision tonight or table it to another night?
For tonight.
All right,
Make a motion, we appoint Chris Shriver to a term ending 7/15/2026.
Second.
motion's been made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint Adam Raposa to the other term ending 7/15/2024.
Do you have a second? Second. Motion's been made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Against? No, another motion?
Madam President, I make a motion, we appoint VA Lopes to the term ending 7/15/2024.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Motion been made in second. All those in favor? Unanimous. Congratulations. Economic Development Commission, VA Lopes, 267 Deer Run Road. Request appointment. We've already interviewed her, and we've interviewed Scott. Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion, we appoint Scott Burns of 117 Neck Road to the term for the Economic Development Commission ending 7/15/2027.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you. He couldn't make it tonight.
Oh, okay, Scott, you're welcome. All right. Harbor Commission, this is you again, Chris. Chris Schreiber, it's okay.
Come on back up.
132, we're not gonna have you back up.
We're not?
Well, we already talked to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
The reason why you're on the harbor is because a planning board member has to be appointed
Okay.
to the harbor commission. You volunteered.
Yes.
And it sounds like you're enjoying that position.
Correct.
And you're working forward to bring them together. Does anyone else have any questions for Chris?
No, I asked mine before.
Okay. So do I have a motion for Chris?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion, we reappoint Chris Shriver for the Harbor Commission, term ending 7/15/2025.
Have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Now you can go home, Chris.
Thank you all. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks.
Counselor Edwards V, discussion regarding casino gaming revenue shortfall FY2022 FY2023. The treasurer has come to answer any questions.
I actually, so I didn't know this was going to be on, but I'm
You
happy.
asked for it to be on.
Oh, I did at the last
Yeah.
meeting. Regardless, we can just go,
Listened.
we can just go ahead and move past this. I've already engaged directly with our state delegation.
I do have a question. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I'd like to hear from the treasurer.
Because there is a shortfall. Well, if you look at it, that it's $3 million, it's been 2.9 and change both years. And, I mean, little change compared to what we're getting here.
It's 12 grand.
Right. And you must have an explanation. Go ahead.
Okay, so, the town records on a cash basis. So we record the income as it comes in, when it comes in. Oh, sorry. So we're on a cash basis. So,
Is
I
she
think-
on?
am I on? I don't,
I don't know if it's only one, is it only one button?
No, I think it,
Hello?
does it turn on there?
No, he
Oh, yeah.
can hear us.
Okay.
okay.
They
You
can't
can't-
in the
Is there
back.
a button
That's-
on the-
No, these microphones are from like 1980.
No, actually, they were updated.
Is that
Oh,
it, right there?
Actually, they were
Oh, okay.
They're updated when Brett was here. Brett Phillips here.
Hello?
Long day.
In a nutshell, we work on a cash basis, and the state works on an accrual basis. So the easiest way, I thought, to explain that was, just today, we got the first quarter of fiscal '24's VLT return, $495,000. In that number is 5 days from June. So it's the same thing with the weekly one, because they go from Sunday to Saturday, and then we get it the following week. So I could make entries to bring it to $3 million at the close of the fiscal year, but I thought because we're on a cash basis, it's in a fund, and I get a reconciliation from the state, that I didn't think it was necessary. Because we would just be making entries, then reversing entries.
Right.
The following quarter, and then making an entry and reversing an entry. But they give me a reconciliation of what they, how they come up with the shortfall number that they give us. And that's because they know what those 5 days of VLT is, and I don't have ready access to that information.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you satisfied, John?
So, again, because we're talking about a cash versus accrual basis, in theory, there should be some year in the future
Some year in the future.
where we are dead on from the
343 Highland Road.
Really?
I love Siri.
In theory, not freaking Siri. Thought I turned that thing off. Anyways,
Actually, in
so-
theory, it would be when we stop
Losing
receiving the
control.
money.
but what I'm saying is that there will be a year in the future where the cash accrual lines up dead on with the end of the quarter, and we'll see an exact number.
Well, not necessarily,
Or over
because,
that-
don't
Let
forget.
me rephrase. We will see the prior year's shortfall plus the 3 million.
Right.
That's what I was just gonna
Right.
ask. Okay,
Right,
Okay.
so,
okay.
but I look at their numbers on the accrual basis, I look at mine, and they're pretty close. If I even went so far as calculating what a day's VLT was, multiplied it by the number of days, and it was very reasonable.
Okay. As long as you're satisfied and it adds up and
The only suggestion I would have is maybe on future ones, we put a little footnote, hey, we're on cash basis versus accrual, so that 20 years from now,
Right.
somebody else doesn't ask the same question.
And when is the sunset clause?
I thought it was 2030, but,
Does anybody know? There is none,
No,
right?
there is none.
okay.
There isn't one, right?
Right.
Mark, am I
The
right?
original legislation before gaming came, there was a
We
sunset
never
of
put a
2030.
Okay,
Not us, the state
No.
legislation.
We changed it.
yeah.
It did not have sunset.
Now the state could change it again, so who knows, but.
And we can argue it again.
That's why we have lobbyists, because that's what the bills are coming through.
Okay,
All set.
Thank you.
thank you,
You're welcome.
Denise. Any other questions? Everyone satisfied? Okay. Counselor Burke, clarification regarding Tiverton Public Library property responsibility.
So I had, and I'll turn to Todd in a minute, but I had asked for the solicitor to come at our last meeting to come up with, to review the pertinent statutes and also the bond to determine whether or not the Library Board of Trustees has the control over the outside property, because that was a question that was raised when we were talking about the Lollapalooza, is that what it was called? Lollapalooza.
And by the way, it was very successful.
Lollapalooza.
I was there, and I don't think there was a parking issue at all. I was
Okay.
watching.
So, so that going forward, we have a better understanding as a town, and the library board has a better understanding of the roles everybody plays. So Todd, if you want to just summarize?
I read this down, and I have to tell you, it wasn't that clear to me, but it might have been me, so. Yeah,
Subdivision.
Library Board of Trustees, per the statute 29-4-6, trustees shall take possession of the library and shall thereafter be the legal guardians and custodians of the library. Library is an undefined term, but from everything that we can infer from other ordinances and statutes, that would include the real property that the library sits on. You, however, still appoint that Board of Trustees.
now I have a silly question, because I was there the other day and I was watching. The property right in front of the dog park, the library owns, but it's only a short strip that we're talking about where they put the food trucks and everything. Is it beyond our ability to split that and say that's the dog park property? Because it doesn't really interfere with the library itself. They own all the rest of it. But that little short of land is really the point of contention.
Talking about along Roosevelt where the bridge is?
Not along, no, I'm talking about when you enter the library, is that Rosa? No, when you enter the library parking lot, and the dog park is on your right. And the dog park owns Inwood, but there's a strip that they don't own. And that's where there was contention about the food trucks being there. Is there anywhere we can square off the library, the dog park property, where they own that whole parcel, and then the library owns all the rest? Because it's only a strip that that's what I think anyway.
Where the orchard is.
Not even to that point. I'm talking right in front of the dog park. Where's David?
I'd like to have Todd finish his.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought he was done.
I'll address that, yeah,
I
it's
thought you
basically
were
done.
Yeah.
But to address your question, I think we would have to look closer at that to see, because I think some of the bond money went to purchasing the real estate, and we may have a
Right.
problem then.
Well, that's why I'm asking, but I don't, what are you shaking your head about?
The bond money wasn't used to buy the property. It was a grant from Senator Reed specifically for the library.
Right.
Okay, so
So
it was
what-
earmarked,
either
it was
way.
earmarked for that purpose, including the real property.
And I don't know if they used any endowment money beyond that, but I know that it wasn't part of the bond. The bond was to construct the library on the land.
No,
And
I'm
out the
just
land.
saying, when I was sitting there, they're not going into the orchard at all. They're not anyway going into that. It's just where the entrance to, am I wrong about this? To enter the dog park, you have to go through the library property.
Yes.
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
No, you don't. you can go through.
No, unless you come in from Roosevelt. I'm talking coming in from the parking lot.
Yeah, you'd have to go across library property.
Yeah,
That's what this is.
right.
But I don't think, so, a couple things. From what I heard Carol saying and the director saying last week, that if somebody has a need, has a desire, and largely it's probably going to be the dog park, it's just going through, getting on their agenda, talking about it, and also, if it's a special event that we might have to approve something for, we'd have to do that. But I didn't hear, and Carol, and I'm going to put you guys on the spot, I didn't hear you saying an absolute no, you can't do this. It's really about the processes, and as long as it fits into the functions that are in Todd's.
Library services.
Right, library services, which, as you say, are broadly defined, too. So having a policy around what's allowable, what's not, and I haven't heard any challenges to people going in from that direction.
Carol, you wanna? Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought you were concerned about the food trucks being on that little area of
I
property.
am concerned about applying our solicitation policy consistently, and having read Mr. Romano's analysis, I now understand, if, I believe it is also his opinion that we need to apply our solicitation policy consistently, and that it would not be legally responsible or correct for us to occasionally waive it.
That's correct.
So when you have your craft fair, you're having this,
That is in compliance with our solicitation policy as written.
okay, explain why.
The solicitation policy says that the only time that you can sell goods is if it's for the benefit of the library under the direction of library personnel.
So the people that are there for your craft show, they're not making any profit?
It's a fundraiser run by Friends of Tiverton Library, and they collect the table fees.
Yeah, it's no different than,
Right, but the people who are selling this pair of glasses will get the profit from this
but
pair of
that's
glasses.
no different than what the Land Trust used to do with Park and Gray. They sell table space and to vendors, and vendors
But isn't
then-
that,
I think you're trending, and you're right, Councilwoman, Council President.
you can always, whatever you want, right? Because I read the solicitation and you sent it to me, so whatever happens has to benefit the library. So when you bring people into the library, and I know how craft tables work, I buy a table, I give you money, but then my products, I'm making money. So
If it is
is that
the,
against your, is
Well,
that solicitation?
that was not our understanding, but if the solicitor now tells us
see what
that
I'm saying?
having the Friends of the Library run a craft fair is not in keeping with that policy, then we will have to apply it consistently and not allow the Friends
Right.
to have a craft fair.
I'd want to look at it a lot more as to specifically what the Friends of the Library are doing before making an ultimate decision on that. But based on what I know and seen from the website, I have the same questions that the council president does.
About that particular event?
Correct. For
yeah.
example, you have 34 vendors there last year, only 25 of which donated an item for charitable purposes. That's right on your website.
So they made money, and that's against your solicitation policy, in my opinion. That's why you said there was a problem with food trucks coming and making money. So to me, and I'm just saying, if we're going to be strict about it, we need to be strict about it.
Oh, I
across the board.
absolutely agree. We
Across
need to
the
be
board.
consistent.
And I think that's what causes some of the conflicts, is that they see something like that going on and say, well, why can't we do this
Okay.
little thing?
So, for instance, the used book sale is not a problem for the Friends to run because we make all the
Right.
profit, everything is donated.
That would seem to be appropriate.
Okay.
It's
And,
just-
and I appreciate this clarification because we do want to be consistent and follow the regulations in terms of what people can legally do or not do.
No, I'm just thinking, if we're going to be that strict, then we need to be strict across the board, including what the library does also. And I have no problem with that, as long as everything's equal. You know what I'm saying? So that nobody is complaining, or they get to do it and we don't get to do it. So, but we will look into that. But you see what I'm saying, though? I do have a little concern about that one, because I think that is against your policy. But we can get a better picture of that.
Sure.
Madam President, so this has been riveting, but the thing that would concern me is just looking at the parcel that the library sits on. Ostensibly, the dog park is landlocked with no egress or entry, but across from the fire department.
It's that bridge.
But the bridge goes over library property.
That's the land I was talking about, it's along Roosevelt.
Yeah, so like that entire strip, I think we have a broader issue, like unless we can carve out a section of that for the dog park.
That's what I was trying to say. Is the dog park has nowhere to go
There's we put them in a landlocked spot.
unless we came in from the other side, maybe.
How's that gonna work with a fire truck whipping out of there?
But it's the same thing. Like, I think we should have thought about that before we put the dog park there almost.
Well, look, if you're in the library property in the driveway and you're looking at the stone wall that separates the library from the dog park,
Yep,
the stone wall ends, and you can walk from that stone wall to Roosevelt Avenue. That strip is about 120 feet wide, and then it runs parallel to Roosevelt Avenue until it gets down to Fernandez. The dog park bridge does in fact cross that strip, and there is a path that takes you to the entrance of the dog park.
but at any time do you go through the library land?
Yeah, you have to. There's no
You're walking
other
over the
way.
bridge over the library land.
The only other way to get to dog park
Through
is
the woods.
to go from Randall Road through the fire department to get to the dog park, because that was all one big parcel, and we just took a piece of it and used it for the dog park.
Yeah.
It
So
was never
that-
split or anything.
That's what I'm saying. There has to be a way,
Maybe we can do an easement.
yeah, something like that, because if you really look at the dog park, everywhere I walked to get in and out was on library property. They have no property to enter
There's no
unless you
other
go
way.
through the woods.
There's no other way.
So we probably should have thought about that, but we, of course, we can't think about everything. So, but even the bridge is not correct. That goes, yeah. I spent 4
Do-
hours there the other day. I thought about all this while I was looking around.
We're in an easement to go over the bridge.
Do we have an easement to use the bridge for the dog park?
We can create one, we don't have one now.
We don't have one in writing.
But the
Okay.
easement would be take the library property.
No, it's not taking,
No, you just grant an easement for the purpose of accessing the dog park.
Library would still own it. Anyone using the dog park would have permission to cross that area.
Yeah, it's like
trustees would have to grant the easement.
Who?
Right.
Who would
the
have to grant?
trustees.
The Board of Trustees, I think, would have to vote on it, and then the town, because it owns the property,
Right.
would have to grant
That's
itself an
what I
easement,
was-
which is
yeah.
odd, but
Right, and that would be where the bridge is.
Right.
Because when I stood there, I was like, everyone's walking through your property to get in. There's no other way to get in.
Well, then keep in mind, though, so the dog park is not a deeded plot.
It's just a piece of.
Normally, an easement gives you access to a deeded plot, correct?
yeah, it would still just be to the
So,
fire department
well,
lot.
like I said, the fire station land was basically cut in half. Half of it's used for the dog park, half of it's still the fire station. But it was never split.
Yeah, that's fine. The easement can still be to the fire department lot, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, well, that's what you'd be doing. You would give an easement to the fire department lot.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as the dog park.
Yes.
Other than, AKA,
It's great. Carol, I have to tell you though, it went really well. I don't know if you heard any complaints about Saturday.
No, people don't don't call me directly.
No, but-
It's not a position like president of the town
No,
council.
but at all times, there was at least 8 vacant parking spaces over there from like 10 to 11. But then maybe right after that, half the parking lot was empty. And the tournament, everybody parked there that went to the tournament. And Boogamush was only half full too. So
Good,
it really
yeah.
was, it was really, and I went, instead of getting the phone calls, I thought I'd hear people in person. But it went really well,
Good.
so. And the dog park, I think, we're very appreciative of the people who came. Any other questions? So that was clarified, Mike, you feel? Okay.
Okay, and I'd just like to thank Councilor Burke for asking for the clarification, and Mr. Romano for his thorough analysis, and I appreciate your willingness to continue to work with us, perhaps through the town administrator, to discuss the possibility of an easement. Thank
And then
you.
also talk about the solicitation policy and whether or not that craft show. Okay, thank you. Town administrative report from police and fire. Department of Public Safety report from Bally's, Tiverton Casino during 2022 and year-to-date 2023.
I'll defer to both Chief Jones and Chief Bailey. They are the creators of the report from the statistics data that they have from their accounts.
Gentlemen, whoever wants to go first.
So from the, I'll speak to the police department first. Clearly, you've seen some upticks in our calls of service. Arrests pretty much across the board, and I'll just couch it in the sense of, obviously, we're coming out of COVID. I don't think this is a reflection that we should be something that we should be concerned about activity at the casino. I know that was brought forth. My contention is you have an officer that is stationed there 24/7, 365. If we put a police officer on any given street, you're going to see an uptick in activity. And I know the relationship that we have with Bally's is solid, and they're a good partner and they're a good community neighbor. And as part of that, we take our responsibilities at the casino to provide security and prevent miscreants from entering our community at any cost. As a result, our officers don't tolerate any nonsense, so I think this is a reflection of that. But I will also address, even with the motor vehicle stops and the motor vehicle accidents, some of this is not directly related to the casino as it's related to Casino Way. So this is the traffic that you find on the roundabout and going into the casino. So, I mean, you need to recognize that as well, to say that every single car stop, every single accident is something that is a direct causation of the casino. That is not accurate. That is representative of what's happening in that area. So I know that as a community, you get concerned that the casino is not a good neighbor, not a good partner, or it's attracting issues. And from my estimation, that's not the case at all. We want people to come to the casino, we want people to come to our community, and we just want them to behave themselves. And this is a representation of your police department making sure that that happens.
Any questions for the chief?
Madam
Police
President,
chief, yes.
just one comment on the motor vehicle stops. It is 100% because of the roundabout. I don't know how much longer we need to have a roundabout for people to understand how to navigate through the roundabout.
I thought you meant get rid of the roundabout.
No, it's just,
It's true.
at least twice a week I go through there, and
I go through there every day and night.
people don't know how to yield.
Nope.
People don't know how to stop. They don't know how to. I mean, it's absurd.
I
The
almost
little
got
upside
into
down
an
triangle
accident
means
today.
yield.
Council, your point's well taken, but I'm a proponent of roundabouts, knowing that, and we all know what the design was before. We'd have more accidents when it comes to Hearst Lane. We'd get people coming 75 miles an hour up Kenny Boulevard out of Fall River. To date, we've had very few accidents. I know that, and when I say we've had 30 accidents, anything that requires a report that is over $1,000 worth of damage. And today, if you're driving something that's 2016 or greater, you're going to have $1,000 over damage. we take a report.
Yeah.
So
If you-
roundabouts work when people follow the rules.
If you get rear-ended in a Rivian, like a little bump in the bumper is going to be $41,000.
Yes.
So
I have to tell you, at 5:30 in the morning, it's the worst. That's when they're all trying to rush to work, and nobody wants you to yield. When you're coming from Stafford, going towards Forever, everyone beeps. They don't want you to yield.
I thought it was illegal to yield.
It's unbelievable.
So I'm just going to reiterate one thing Chief Jones said.
Yes, sir.
So the casino is not really the reason that roundabout is there. That roundabout has been talked about for years and years and years. The casino was the catalyst.
Correct, sir.
We may have ended up with a roundabout whether the casino was there or not.
Correct. I mean, with Canning Boulevard, with Hearst Lane, with the Stafford Road extension, with that whole design, what it used to be, and I'm going to date myself, when the bus station was there and Burdick Motorcycle was there, it was always a problem for traffic coming off the highway from Route 24, coming into Tiverton out of Fall River. So the roundabout has solved some of those issues, and now just add the casino to that equation, that it gives people who are, the patrons that are going to the casino, an off-ramp. So they can go there, and then the rest of the traffic can go either southbound or northbound or utilize the
Round to
traffic
round to.
circle. Excuse me.
Mike?
Couple things. Thanks, Chief. And I will say that I did one time go the wrong way in a roundabout, but that was because I should have been driving on the left side of the road in Scotland and not the right side. But be that as it
The
is.
people we swear about.
And luckily I didn't hit anybody and they all laughed at me. Just want to underscore a couple things. One, the officer on duty is paid for by whom?
The casino.
The casino. Fully. So it's not a cost to us. Thank you. It
If I
also.
may, sir, I'll also add, when one of the officers is involved in an arrest, then there's additional overtime above and beyond the detail rate. The casino compensates us for that.
Thank you. And I'm putting you on the spot for this one, but how many arrests roughly were there in town overall during 2023 to date?
That's,
It's probably in here,
it's on
but
the
I
consent agenda.
I know for 2022, we're almost at 1,000. I think it was
1,000.
800, 900.
and that's inclusive of the 108 for
Correct.
2022.
yeah, it's very little compared
So,
to.
okay, thank you. And I say that to underscore, I hear from friends, family, how they think the casino's brought in a lot of trouble. And in my conversations with you, I would have to say that it's actually, as you had said, it actually keeps some of the trouble from coming further into town because you're able to look and see, oh, this person has a warrant. We're going to tag him right away.
I will say this, if someone, and I'm sure people will listen to this, if people who have warrants who want to have or want to cause trouble in Tiverton, our officers are waiting at the casino in town for them to show up. And I think these stats are reflective of that. So
Your business is
please,
going
yeah,
down.
exactly. We want people that are going to come to town and enjoy the community, and also as the casino being part of the community, to have fun. And like I stated before, we're not going to tolerate nonsense.
And-
These
and-
stats are just a reflective of that.
and-
I know we spoke, sir, I'm sorry to
Right.
interrupt. Our officers will work collaboratively with the security, and if Pat Jones comes in and it's causing problems, not to the level that it caused an arrest, but there's security there, we work with surveillance, we'll find out who this individual is, are they driving a car, and then if they return, we're gonna know when they return and how they return, and we'll be waiting for them. And these stats are reflective of that.
Thank you. And one last question, actually, I'm going to call on our casino friends who are here. How many patrons roughly a year since COVID was over?
Since COVID was over, I would estimate we have about 6 million in Lincoln, so it's about 1/4 of that, so let's say around 1.8.
1.8 million, 44 arrests. Thank you.
I do want to say, Jay, it is true, and I was here for 12 years, and we could not get the state to pay attention to that roundabout until the casino did show up, and they were major contributors to why that's there, because they worked their magic and got the state to do it.
They paid for it.
So that roundabout would never, we'd still be working on that roundabout if it wasn't for the casino. And they were really helpful in getting it all done for us quickly. And we worked on it for years. Fire department.
So, good evening. The fire department, we continue to staff one fire detail 24/7 in the casino. If you look, we're trending about the same as the previous year of 2022. We had 29 calls for service. We're currently this year at 21 calls for service. The majority being calls that the EMS detail firefighter deals with when it's probably like a well-being check or somebody falls that they don't want to be transported and we check them out medically.
But this is, the call for service you're talking about is when an ambulance actually comes to the casino. So it's not, is it also your fireman being there and someone passes out?
So if somebody passes out a fire, the ambulance would probably be dispatched, but the detail officer, that would be an EMS transport if we took them to the hospital versus somebody that refuses transport, maybe even against medical advice.
So if somebody trips and says, no, don't call an ambulance, I'm all right, but your firefighter, but there.
It would be at the discretion of the detail officer, you know, if it's a minor.
But would you count that for a call for service?
It would be counted as a call for service.
But if I may, again, in 2022, that's the higher number, 29 calls for service. And then all these others are related to those calls for service, EMS, MVA, transport, et cetera. So 1.8 million visitors, 29 calls for service, and the casino also pays for your person there. Thank you.
Any questions? John?
I just piggyback off of Councilor Burke's statement. We got to get those calls for service numbers up and the transport numbers up because we make money on the rescue billing in addition. So let's work on that.
Okay, let's pretend you didn't say that.
We like it to be healthy about this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, hurt yourself. All right, any other questions from anyone? Chris, do you have anything?
I have
Nothing.
no.
Anything else? Thank you, sirs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mark, Kim, Mike.
Yeah, we.
Do you want to, I'm sorry.
Well, just as the company grows, we work with a lot of public safety departments and a lot of municipalities, and the relationship and the job that Tiverton does is exemplary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and did you hear that? Okay. I just want the people involved to know you said that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I have like a pain. DPW director. Oh,
We have a firefighter here, if you need help with the pain.
yeah, I have it right here. DPW Director Rogers, discussion and possible vote on funding to clean and video town-owned maintained sewer line for $45,000.
Good evening, and thank you. I would like to, if possible, continue this to the next meeting because it has come to my attention today that the quantities are very low and that the request is considerably short by a factor of possibly 3 for the monies that are needed.
So it will be likely 150,000-ish?
Yes.
So where did the new numbers come from?
That was from a discussion again today with Tiverton Wastewater. I'm not placing blame on anybody but myself.
No, I'm
Okay.
not blaming, I just want the council to understand that there's an entity that is claiming that this is a much bigger project than what we originally anticipated.
All right,
So we'll
so,
validate that first before because I didn't think it was that big either.
so we'll move it to the next meeting. Anybody have any objections? Okay. Next item, Rick, it's also yours, the RIDOT Municipal Road and Bridge Program Agreement.
Yes. So part of the agreement does require that the town council approve authorization and signing of that document.
So what does this agreement do for us?
It gives us, it's a requirement for us getting up to about $450,000, $500,000 for paving. So if the projects cost $1.5 million, the town has to pony up $1 million, and they will give, as part of their funding to all the municipalities, a 33% amount. So we would get 500 in that case.
Any questions?
Just one.
Yep.
What's the pitfall? What are we signing on to that the state wants us to do, other than just sign this thing and ask for the money?
Well, you have to maintain the project going forward, but we maintain the jobs or the projects now. You have to have the possibility of increased paperwork because you have to send in documentation to the state. Also, the state is allowed to inspect the projects, but again, we don't see any problem with that. So is it added paperwork, administrative costs? Yes, but is it worth it? To get that kind of money, yes, it is.
Thank you.
So we'd be on the hook for $1 million?
Well, we're on the hook for whatever the town allocates, and then they will match
Up to.
up to 33%.
Okay.
So we will, in fact, it's on the docket, we'll be asking for more money so we can get the most that we can get as allowed by their formulas.
Any other questions?
Just one more question. Just because I didn't see in here, are there like prevailing wage requirements or anything
Yes.
like that? Okay.
And that's part of the paperwork, the administrative, that we have to demonstrate that. However, we get that already from the contractor.
Okay.
Would we publish a list of roads that would be done with this money?
Yes, we typically would put it on the town website or post it once we know what we're actually going to do.
Okay, is that why it's not posted now? Because I've gotten
It-
some
it's-
questions about that.
Yes, still a work in progress.
Okay.
So Rick, are you going to use the long-range paving plan that you've had for a while?
We will have to update that because that has pretty much gone by the wayside a couple of years ago.
Other questions? Go ahead.
We will update that, though, because people are
Yeah.
curious when their roads are gonna.
Yes, what we'll be able to do very quickly, once we get all the approvals, is to post what we're going to be doing this autumn and spring of next year.
One final question.
Yep.
Director Rogers, will you be the project manager on these projects?
Yes, unless somebody wants to volunteer.
I want to make sure we're
Well,
not
you don't
hiring an
want me
outside
on it.
party, that's all.
So just one more question for me, because I didn't really have an opportunity to go through all this with you. This grant program from the state, this roads program, everything has to be done and completed by October, I believe, of 2026.
Yes.
So the funding doesn't all have to come in this particular year?
Well,
Or do you have to obligate yourself to it?
Exactly, Chris. The town has to obligate the money by July, some date in July 2024. So they do give you, whatever it is, 20, 30 days after the close of our fiscal year. And that's because during the webinars, various municipalities
So are you
pointed
allowed-
out.
Are you allowed to do work before that date? In other words,
Yes.
we have $600,000 still in the bank.
Yes.
That we would be able to utilize. Would we get a reimbursement of that if we pave roads this year?
Yes, if we pave roads this year and it falls within the amounts that the town council has already allocated, and we have the signed agreement, and we turn in all the paperwork, and they accept the roads. They have accepted some of our roads or approved some of our roads. Some, last I looked, which might have been Friday, weren't all approved. But we're well on our way to spending our money. And again, as I mentioned, we'll be asking for more later on tonight.
Other questions? Not a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to, direct the town council president to sign the agreement as presented by the director. Is that satisfactory, Director Rogers?
I'm just checking to see it has to be the chief financial officer, the city solicitor, and the administrator.
All right, so I'll amend my motion for those three individuals.
Okay. But it has to be logged in and sent, I assume, by Joan to the state that the town council said okay.
Yeah, I probably have to sign something that says that we voted on it. Did someone second? Mike, you did.
We need a second. Jay, was that a second?
Oh, this one, I thought you did it, but yeah,
No,
that's a second.
no, I was asking for one. Sorry, I know that was confusing. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
None opposed? Thank you. Back to you.
DB, I'll stay there. Discussion possible vote to approve the Rhode Island Department of Transportation Municipal Road and Bridge Program and MRBP.
That's the one we just did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're on the next page, sorry.
So sorry. Discussion possible vote on funding for asphalt paving for $750,000 in light of state matching program.
Yes. Would you like any explanation on that? Happy to give it.
Yes, please.
Okay. You have to have all the paperwork in for the roads that you desire by Monday next week. We've submitted quite a few, obviously, already. You have to also allocate all the money by July something, 2024. You have to spend it, as Chris said, by October 2026. If you estimate X amount and the bills actually come in less, and you've only requested the max, then you shortchange yourself. You want to, and we're doing that, ask for more, because the estimates are estimates, and we don't want to shortchange the town or what the most they can get. Now, and also bear in mind, we typically do paving every year anyways, and we ask for dough. So if we get that dough and it's allocated by July next year, and we're asking for it now, then if we don't spend that money, but we still receive the most we can from the state, we're all set. And that money just stays in the kitty, and then you can allocate that much less in the future if you want to, but of course we want more anyways. But if it's not allocated and we ask for these and we're just sort of, just standing, doing nothing, because you have to estimate, you don't have to, but it behooves us to put in more than we think we might use in case the bills, when they actually arrive, which won't be till a month, 2 months, or next year in the spring, then we might find we shortchanged ourselves, because we want the maximum amount of 490-something. So you have to.
Totally lost me.
So we have how much set aside
Yes.
right now? So you're saying that we should be taking that 600 plus the 750?
Yes.
To maximize the dollars that will come back to us?
Based on what I was
But
trying to
that's a
explain, yes.
restricted account, so what's in that account? Only 600?
650.
So no, there's 600 from gaming,
But what was in there?
I believe there's 600 from American Recovery. I don't know how much money you have sitting in the municipal account that's strictly related to paving.
Paving is restricted.
Yes.
And every year we put, it just stays there unless you use it.
Yes.
So what is actually in that account today?
In the gaming or whatever it is, we have about 650, and then we have 100-some in the regular, and that's part of the rollover, et cetera, but we need
Right.
that also for potholes,
So you're saying
anything
we
else.
have about $800,000 in paving right now?
Yes, but I wouldn't
I
count
thought we
that.
had more than that.
No, that's what we have.
We spent over
No, I'm
60.
just curious.
We spent a lot of money last year.
Right, and we have to have some monies in there for potholes, also drainage, gravel, because it's not just paving in the typical 5540 account.
So where is this 750? You want additionally 750?
Yes, that would go into paving.
And where is that
So
going
we,
to come from?
so I I knew we were going to discuss it tonight, but it would be my intention that we would look at it either under gaming or any residual of American Recovery, but that decision would not be made tonight.
Right.
It was just laying out this whole grant program as to what it is we're trying to achieve and how much money is going to be needed, and then where are we ultimately going to get those monies from.
So it wouldn't be like next year we give the 750. We had to do it sooner than that.
That's kind of what Rick's
When we're doing
saying now
budgets. So when we're doing the budgeting for next September,
Yes.
you need this 750 before then.
How I would say that is this: it has to be, the amount has to be allocated by the town council by July, whatever date it is, in 2024.
All right, but
But-
you have 800 in there, so would that be the allocation?
No, he's asking for 750 on top
No,
of
but
it.
what I'm saying,
Yes, that, he's gonna use that as part of that.
Yes,
so it'd be 800 plus an additional 750?
yes. And again, if it's not, and again, don't please count the whole 800, because we have to have that for drainage and
Right.
gravel, et cetera, also.
So what is the net number you're looking for? You're 750 and what, 600?
Yes, we're looking to have the estimates submitted
With what number?
for maybe 2, because if the things come in low.
2 million?
We do not have to spend
2
that money.
million?
Yes, we do not have to, we want to estimate that amount. We do not have to spend that. Once we spend the 1.5, the amount is capped that we're going to get from the state.
So you're not really asking for 750, you're asking for 1.4.
Well, no, I'm asking for the 750 plus the 650. That gives about 1.5,
Right.
and then we would get 490.
All right, so 2 million
Back.
total,
2
counting
million
the,
total, okay.
counting the state money.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
Okay.
that
That
wasn't
makes
clear,
sense.
that wasn't clear.
Okay.
All right,
Right.
that's,
All right,
yes.
totally
I thought you
lost
got
me there.
490 back.
I thought you wanted us to give you 2 million, I was gonna say, go away.
But again, if you don't mind, please bear in mind that it stays in there, so next
Oh, yeah.
year,
It
you might
rolls over.
allocate I hope you keep allocating money, but if you could allocate less.
Right, I get it. No, I was just, all right, I get it.
And we are trying to do our best, obviously, and bear in mind that we did get cut out. When COVID hit, we were cut out twice, to the tune of about $1 million in the regular budget. So,
So,
Well, that's because you had, no, it wasn't just COVID, but it was because you had a good amount in there.
no.
We cut his
Madam,
Yeah, we did, but we always looked at that reserve account. We always looked at that restricted account and what was in there, and that's how we made our decision. That
Yeah,
restricted account had
Yeah.
more than 650 in there.
no, my memory is not quite like that, Denise, is that it got cut out,
I
but,
love you.
That money you're talking about wasn't reserve money. The money that we spent
Yeah,
came out of American Recovery.
right, right.
1.2 million.
But that's
We
not
set
what
aside.
yeah,
600,000 last year, 600,000 for this year.
yeah,
okay. Mike,
so,
so, right now, we've approved to sign the agreement,
yes,
okay? So that gets us in line, okay? We have 600 sitting there right now.
yes,
So you can move forward, starting with that.
yes,
And sometime over the next 3 to 6 months, you and Chris will come back to us with a proposal on the actual amount and where you're going to suggest that money comes from.
right.
Yeah.
But if, for instance, if you were to say you're never gonna get to 750, then we wouldn't bother, because we'll estimate it, but if we're not gonna get it, then we're just sort of wasting our time.
But we don't know that yet because we don't know
where it's coming.
where it might come from.
Yes, no, I understand that. As long as it's allocated by July something of next year,
Okay,
we're in good shape.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
any other questions?
I just didn't want it said that
We just don't want to miss the boat on getting it approved for the
Yeah,
grant.
I
Yes.
just got confused, but
And so-
I think I understand it.
We want to tell you early.
Yes, I think I understand it.
Thank you. Nice
Everyone-
job cutting your bushes the other day.
Any questions?
Thank you.
John?
Yeah,
You look confused.
No, I'm not confused. I was trying to recall back to the budget process, and I believe I was accurate when I did. So I just pulled up our budget, but coming into this fiscal year, we didn't allocate additional dollars. We just relied simply on the monies that were left over from the American Recovery Act. And I guess the question I would have is, before we even talk about allocating another 750, what do we even have left for last year's gaming revenue that we can even allocate? Because we just gave 1.9 to the schools. It was like 2.2 all in or something.
There's really nothing left
There's
of the
nothing.
FY2022 monies.
But there's
All
still
of the
2023.
FY23 monies is available.
We didn't spend the 2023 money.
Because we couldn't. until,
No, we could.
until now.
We just didn't have it on the
We didn't-
table.
It wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah, we
All right.
could. It's sitting there.
So we've got 3 million roughly.
Yes.
Okay.
And we may still have some American recovery monies left. And it's a different, I don't want to get off topic, but, and I can bring at the next meeting an update as to where we are and what we're trying to do.
Just as long as you'll be able to figure out where this money's going to come from.
we will.
Okay.
We didn't spend 2023 yet. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Chris, you want to tell Tim 9? You think 9?
Yeah, I told him quarter to 9.
Okay. Counselor Edwards, Solicitor Romano, update in Abigail Estates. Who's going to do this?
So, Abigail Estates is a 12-unit subdivision. It was created in about 2013. It's off of Lynn Road, which is up by the high school and Ranger. Actual construction of this began about May 2020 and has been continuing since all the houses are built. What happened here was the neighborhood has been having concerns about the developer not completing or working on the required infrastructure requirements. There's a lot of reasons for why it wasn't being done, but the neighborhood wanted to go before the planning board, and they wanted the planning board to recommend to the council that we pull the bond, which would have released the contractor from having to do any of the improvements. Planning board at their last meeting voted to not do that, and instead they gave the developer a punch list of things that had to be done, and they gave them a date of, I believe, November 5th of this year to have them accomplished. If they aren't, then the planning board will revisit the issue and may vote to pull the bond. I can tell you that recently the contractor seems to have gotten the message and has started working on what we'll call the punch list. So all I'm trying to do here is just give you guys a heads up. You know, you've probably heard about it, but you may not know really what the issues were, and that's what
We have
it is.
nothing to do with this.
Not yet.
Do we ever have anything to do?
You do. The town council is the one that would actually call the bond.
Okay,
On recommendation from the planning board.
right, but they haven't done that yet.
No.
Not yet.
They, instead of doing that, they've gone to the developer and said, look, you gotta do these things, these are what you want, we want you to do by this date or else.
Any questions?
Is the time frame reasonable? I don't know what the issues are, or, you know.
Right, I'm thinking November, that's next month.
I don't know what it's, if we were to have to pave that road in the next, you know, between now and November 5th, I don't think we could get it done.
No.
It's, you know,
Well, it's got the binder on, so he's gotta put the top coat on, and the issue is sometime in November, these asphalt plants close.
well, I will tell you, we wouldn't have been able to pave roads this year. That's why we're where we're at, because the state has gobbled up every contractor
Oh, is
there is
it?
to do a ton of state work, which is fine, but we can't get pavers. I mean, you get a local paver to do a driveway or something, but to do a road like that, I don't know if we could get one.
The developers represented that they have a contractor.
That's fine, but I just, you know, I just don't want the town to get stuck with a project that we may not be able to.
Well, that's why the planning board didn't do anything.
Okay.
But even if the planning board does recommend it, we don't have to vote yes
That's
to do
correct.
it. Okay,
I just have one question.
go ahead.
Abigail Estates, we're talking about in between Ledger and South Christopher, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thanks, Jay. Council Edwards, discussion possible vote to approve funding to advertise a public hearing related to zoning and subdivision regulations per required changes in state law and set the schedule for public hearing.
Okay, so, as you know, we have the zoning revision committee working on zoning issues that are coming at us like a freight train starting January 1st. There's no way in hell we're gonna be able to address all of them. And Chris was at the meeting, so you're gonna have to keep me honest here, but So we have a very short window in which to decide on what changes we want to make, hold public hearings, and do all these things, and advertise. Advertising alone takes 3 weeks. So what we would like to do is start advertising for a public hearings now.
I just need you to approve advertising and set a first public hearing
Yeah.
for adoption of revised ordinances. And what I'll say is there are essentially 2 buckets of ordinances. One that are going to happen because the state law changed it and you have no say in how those changes will be made. The second bucket, you have to make changes, but you have to make some decisions as how you want to implement some of those changes. We're going to try to narrow that down and make it as easy as possible for the council to understand and the public to understand. But we need, because of the 3-week advertising requirement, we need to set the schedule now.
So how much money do you need?
Whatever's money is required for the newspaper advertising. But we need to set that schedule.
We may need to have 2 public hearings.
Okay, so I
But it's
just need to know
advertising for only one.
approximately how much you need, Joe, to advertise for public hearing.
At this point, I don't have anything to advertise.
No, but how much does it cost?
It depends on the size of the ad. So I,
$500, right? Each time?
More than that.
Isn't there someone from the Secana Times here that could tell us what the rates are?
You don't have to publish, you don't have to publish the entire ordinance word for word. There's way too much there. You're allowed to do a synopsis,
So
essentially.
if we give you $1,000 right now,
normally you just approve the,
Right.
any,
Yeah, the cost.
just
yeah,
the
but where's it
cost.
gonna come from? Because it's over what we usually do.
What's in contention?
So do you need to know where to take that account from? Or do you have money in your advertising for it? That's what I'm asking you. This
I
is
don't
the-
have any advertising.
Right.
It's all under the council,
Right,
and it's advertising / zoning.
okay.
Or planning budget.
All right, so what do you need to just say, go ahead and do it?
Yes. To do it and to probably schedule that first
You probably
hearing.
don't have enough money in there to do what you want to do, but okay, we can. And then if you run short, we'll just give you more.
We have to do it.
Yeah, right, so that's why I didn't know if you wanted extra money in there, or,
We'll figure out where to get the money from after.
okay, all right. So we need a vote to.
Motion to approve funding to advertise a public hearing related to zoning and subdivision regulations per required changes in state law and set the schedule for public hearing.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
You got a schedule.
I kind of need a schedule,
There you go.
So you want to schedule now?
at least your first public hearing.
Jay, did you have some dates that the committee had come up with?
It's not,
Did the planning board have
it's
dates?
not on the agenda, though.
No.
Scheduling is, though.
Oh, yeah, you're right,
Yeah,
set the
set the
schedule.
So I can tell you, I tried to figure out some dates, right?
Perfect, go ahead, Jay
Based
won't
on-
mind.
Based on your regular town council meetings of November 14, we'd have to advertise by October 24. You have another meeting on the 27th, which would give us some more time, and I'd appreciate that. We would have to advertise by November 6th at that point. And then that still gives you some meetings in December, December 11 and 26 still, to meet should a second meeting be required. You can set a special meeting for this if you want
Well,
to.
that's what I'm wondering, shouldn't we have a special meeting for this?
We may have to have one.
This is gonna be very hefty for a town council
It is.
meeting.
Well, I can tell you this too, Ashley Sweet, the interim planner, would very much like to come before us and give us what I call her scary lecture.
All right, so I think we should have a special meeting for all of these, because it's just gonna be too long to get anything else done. So if you look at the 2 November meetings, what's the one? The Monday in between would be the
13th?
November 20th.
20th. So would that give you plenty of time right now?
You'll give us more time, yes,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Because I really don't, I think that this is just way too much to put into a town council meeting.
Okay.
So we need a vote to approve advertising for schedule for a special meeting regarding zoning changes, November
And
20th.
subdivision.
And so, November 20th.
November 20th?
Is that okay with everyone? That off day, is that near Thanksgiving?
It's the week,
It's the Monday before.
so you will
attendance should
have,
be high.
yeah, you will have people who say, why are you doing that during the week of Thanksgiving? But,
We're running out of
yeah,
time.
I
Like,
know,
let's
I'm
just
not
let it rip.
disagreeing.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah, I just want to say that I may not be here, but it's okay. What? Because it's the week of Thanksgiving.
It's okay.
No, if you're not going to be here, you have to be here.
No, I don't have to be here.
This is very important stuff. And more importantly, if for some reason, like, let's say, you know, Jay forgets that the meeting's happening, we don't have a quorum, it doesn't happen at that point.
I never forget.
Because we're already down one counselor, we're already down one counselor,
I'll
so.
just leave for my Thanksgiving after Monday. Don't worry about it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll be here. I'll be here.
I mean, if not, we pick a different day.
But it's okay. I'll just leave the day later. It's fine.
Right.
Okay. I just saw Councilor Janet. She sneaked in. All right,
Make a note.
so did that get voted? Did I call for a vote? No.
Yes, we voted to approve advertising, and then we just discussed the schedule,
So-
You haven't voted for the schedule.
We haven't voted for the schedule.
for the public hearing
Thank you.
for zoning and, I move that the public hearing for zoning and subdivision regulations, which will be advertised per the other vote, be held on November 20th, 2023 at 7 PM at a location to be determined.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second.
I'll probably be here, but all those in favor? Perfect. We're doing. All right, so the next is Council President deMedeiros, discussion possible vote to advertise for open town council position per home charter section 202. We did discuss it earlier. All I'm asking is for permission for Joan to advertise for the open council position.
Second.
Well, I need a motion.
So Jay makes a motion,
And you second.
and I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Although, I
Madam-
do want to say that anyone who is a writing candidate can apply too.
Right.
And we can take that in consideration if we wish to or not wish to. The charter's been interpreted by 2 lawyers already, and I think it's very clear. I'm not a lawyer, but I think
Right.
it's very clear. And like I said, I was present for the way it all changed. And that's what I think the intention of the Charter Commission was. But I'm saying that doesn't mean that we can choose whoever we want according to whatever criteria we want. So I have a motion and a second.
And can I just ask, will there be any criteria written in the advertisement or just
No.
just for people to
Yeah.
apply?
Yeah.
The criteria that's in the charter, what your job is.
This is what the town council is, and anyone can get 50 signatures and be on the ballot, so,
Elector of the town, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yes, you have to be an elector of the
You have to
town.
be elector of the town in order to apply. What I'm hoping is, Joan, when would you get the advertisement out for?
Oh, the advertisement would go out to the newspaper on the 16th and be in the paper of the 19th. Do you want me to advertise for 1 or 2 weeks?
I think 1 week.
1 week?
Is there a requirement for it?
No, there's no.
There's no requirement, I'm just asking.
There's no requirement
For
to
For advertising
advertise for the council.
for how long is the requirement to advertise?
Yeah, but it's
how
not
long.
for how long.
Correct.
I think we should do it for a week.
It's whatever's reasonable.
It's very well known what's going on right now. People have already called me and told me that they're interested and gonna put applications in. So it's all around town that this is happening. So if we do it for a week, we wouldn't be choosing at the next town council meeting. It'd be the prior town council meeting. It'd be the November one.
The November 14th
Yes.
meeting, yes.
Okay. Is that all right with everyone?
So if it wouldn't be till the November
You
14th,
wanna
why
do it
can't
for
we
2
advertise
weeks?
for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I was
Since we
hoping
have
to
the
try to
time.
get it done earlier, but we can do it for 2 weeks, Joan, do it for 2 weeks.
Thinking the more you put it out there,
Oh,
and I
it's
know
out.
that a lot
Yeah.
of people know about this, but
Okay,
know
you
we
can do it for 2 weeks.
didn't get very many
Right.
people for charter review.
Right.
Oh, I have a feeling you're gonna get,
Will it also be on the town website?
we can put it on the town website too.
We'll put it out there for you, don't worry.
But I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I already know of
I know a few.
few that are gonna to apply, so it's not gonna be like the other position. For some reason, people are dying to join us. All right, so I need a motion to go out for advertisement. Did I do? No.
We did that.
Yeah, we,
No, I got a motion, a second. All those in favor?
When's the next meeting, our next council meeting after that?
23rd. Oh, after this one is the 23rd.
No, I mean the
the 20th.
14th. Are we on?
We have a special one. I don't know if you were here. Were you here when we set the special one for the 20th?
Of
November?
November?
And then the 27th would be the other one.
Zoning,
Yeah.
hearing stuff.
Do we have one on November 14th?
Yes.
Okay.
Town adminis,
13th is a holiday.
oh, those kill me.
Okay.
Does anybody think we're going to be meeting on December 26th?
Not a chance.
Town administrator, discussion and possible vote to approve the development of a scope of work by Weston and Sampson Engineering Incorporated for work with the North End and Industrial / Business Park Subcommittee and for work to amend zoning and subdivision regulations per required changes in state law.
So we've asked Ashley to sit on both those committees, and there is some technical work that Weston and Sampson should be providing for those committees as it relates to things that need to be addressed from at least an engineering firm, and the planning aspect of it as well. That is an additional scope to what we have hired Weston and Sampson for. So I'm just asking that we allow them to engage in creating a new scope of work for us so that we can addend those contracts. There's one other one, but it's not going to be the town's responsibility. It'll be Rhode Island Housing, and that would be for the hydrology study. But I will deal with Rhode Island Housing about that and the two water authorities.
Any questions from the council? John?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve whatever the administrator just said from a scope of work perspective for Weston and Sampson,
That's a good motion.
as advertised.
Thank you, Todd.
Second, I will second that.
We got a little silly here. Motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
I'm sorry.
Town administrator, discussion and possible vote to approve budget transfers, request for fiscal year 2022, 2023 budget, so last year's budget.
So Denise Surratt and I have gone through, prior to the auditors making their final determination about our accounts. And these are the ones that we need to do a final adjustment on to close out the books for the year.
So I just need a motion to approve
Madam President,
as listed. I'm not reading these.
Motion to approve the budget transfer request for fiscal year 2022-23 as listed on our agenda.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session. Town Administrator, Rhode Island General Law 4246585, discussion related to acquisition or lease or purchase of real property for public purposes where the early disclosure will be detrimental to the public interest. B, Town Administrator, Rhode Island General Law 4246582, session pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, and/or Rhode Island General Law 4246584, any investigation proceeding regarding allegations of misconduct, either civil or criminal. These pertain to the Tiverton firefighters. Town Administrator, Rhode Island General Law 4246585, discussion related to the sale of property, publicly held property in the Tiverton Industrial Park and related to prospective business located in the state-town where an open meeting would be detrimental effect on the interests of the public. D, Town Solicitor, Rhode Island General Law 42465A, litigation, Highland Ridge Farm LLC versus Town of Tiverton et al. NC 2023-260, discussion possible vote to authorize the solicitor to negotiate and enter into a temporary agreement regarding the stay of enforcement. E, Town Solicitor, Rhode Island General Law 4246582, litigation, Seconded Partners LLC versus Tiverton Zoning Board, NC 2023-0337, discussion and update of appeal filed by the plaintiff related to the denial of development plan review of crematorium at 730 Main Road, Tiverton, Rhode Island. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
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 We'll see you sometime in the morning tomorrow.
Good luck for going.
Are we staying here?
We're gonna stay here because we
So
don't.
I can